Many are unaware that the doctrines that they've married themselves to and the theologies that they've committed themselves to follow are in fact prepositions of Rome, set up with a purpose to lead believers away from the God of Israel and the commandments of the Most High. It's super important that I highlight something that's been hidden from our eyes for many centuries. Unbeknown to most, Christianity has become veiled from the full truth of the gospel message. Believers have been deceived by a systematic history that's been impregnated from Rome, papal Rome. And the Hebraic roots of our faith have been viciously severed over many generations. These perpetual changes of the word have inherently been bombarded upon believers. Through religious systems and man-made theologies and doctrines of men, the truth has been purposefully manipulated and distorted. Virtually every mainstream Christian denomination has fallen prey to the papacy in one way or another. The vast majority of Christians have been duped by a diluted doctrine of the Italica Ecclesia, or the Italian church as it translates. Many are unaware that the doctrines that they've married themselves to and the theologies that they've committed themselves to follow are in fact prepositions of Rome, set up with a purpose to lead believers away from the God of Israel and the commandments of the Most High. The doctrines of Christianity, though many denominational subsections, are in fact all under the same umbrella of papal Rome. Each denomination borrows something or other from the papacy, and upon close inspection, one can conclude that the theologies or religious denominations that are in the world are in fact manufactured products of the Latin Church. This is what we're going to come to understand. And this is the Balaamic octopus, as I like to call it. One could consider how each denomination is in fact another tentacle of the Latinus Vigorus Romanus, or the Italian-speaking vicar. Bear in mind that Rome actually was the enemy of Israel for centuries. They were the enemy of God's people for a long time. They ransacked the temple, they destroyed God's house, they destroyed the land, they enslaved the people, they forced vigorous taxes and harsh labour upon the people, they crucified the Maccabees, any rebellion was squandered and squashed, people's families were just butchered, they put blood of swine on in the most holy place. I mean, this was the enemy of Israel. And now this enemy of Israel has its tentacles into the covenant people, and it's delivering a theology and a doctrine that has come down from a single point, which is the beast. So the very enemy and occupying force of Israel for centuries has its tentacles stretched out to infiltrate the kahal of Israel. And this is why many denominations in the world are having an identity crisis. They believe that this new product called the church, when the book of Acts tells us the church began in the wilderness at Sinai with Moses, it's not a New Testament concept. The kahal are the called out believers, the ones that follow the covenant, the ones that follow Yeshua. Christianity as a whole has become inebriated by the scarlet whore who dresses in purple and scarlet. And we read this in the book of Revelations, that she gets the nations drunk on the wine of false doctrine, false bravado and confusion. That's what we're dealing with here. Those that have drunk from the cup of Rome have in turn yielded to its doctrinal influences of the cup of mixture. What does she say? What does she have written on her head? Mystery Babylon, the scarlet whore. What does this mean? Babylon means mixture. Babylon means confusion. Babylon means what we see in the world. These pagan, heathen religions that have synchronized themselves with the God of Israel, with the Bible, with the word of the Most High. The Lord doesn't want that. In fact, he tells us to come out of her, my people. Come out of her, lest ye receive of her plague and partake in her sins. We're called to come out of all religious man-made systems and focus solely on the word of God. We're called to put away the doctrines of men and the theologies of men. And please note, the whore and the Balaamic tentacles of the papacy, everyone who set up a new religion was probably a massive move of God at first. You know, you read about how people died and there was these great moves of God, but then what happens is the octopus gets its tentacles in, and then they supply funding and covenants and land. They even start providing the curriculum. So if you want to be part of that church, you have to go and train under the order of the papacy. The Jesuits were like the 007. They were like the James Bonds of religion, and they were infiltrating all the religions. And this one is for you to study yourself, but I think that it's important that I show how a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump. And once we eat of the bread of Rome, we can become defiled by it. And why do I want to say this? I want to show you that there's been a newly found religion, one that our forefathers did not know of. I often think, what would the prophets think if they come back now and checked out Catholicism? They'd be like rolling in the graves. They'd be like, come away from that madness. Come away from that madness. And that's what we're here to do today. We're here to expose this stuff with the light, so we do not fall prey to the trappings of the devil. What does the word say? That we should know. We should know and be understood. That we should mark down, as Paul says, those with false doctrine. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
Yeah, as a friend of ours says, sadly, largely the sort of Reformation is essentially Reformed Catholicism.
Yeah. But at first, started out as a great move of God, a great revival, a great move of God. And this is what the enemy has been seeking to do in Daniel 7. We've preached on this in the past. Jack delivered something great about the prophecy of the beast in Daniel 7 that comes to change the law of God, the times and the seasons, to dumbfound the saints for a time and a dividing of time. So why have I presented this with you? I've presented this because what we've been found with is we have been given this theology that Jesus Christ came to do away with the law of God, that he came to do away with the law of God, when really the law of God is beautiful, perfect, and true, as Paul describes. It is the perfect word of God. Word of God. The law of God is perfect, as David says. Read Psalm 119. We don't need to go into all the minutiae of this today. We're all in here for the purpose because we know that his law is true and still applicable for today. But the thing that got Israel divorced was breaking the law. That's what got Israel divorced. Yeshua comes and dies so that God can remarry us again. And now the enemy still wants to say the wedding vows, they're not there anymore. They're not there. But I've set this up to you today because I desire to shed light on it. Because our Messiah did not come to destroy the law and the prophets. Neither did he loosen the law nor put it aside, as some would believe. But he rather taught it and fully preached it in its intended format. Many people, and I've heard them do it, me and Jack have spoke with many different pastors from different congregations, and they actually used the Sermon on the Mount to show how Yeshua either broke the law, added to the law, gave us a new law, reinstated the law, revamped the law, reignited, whatever you want to say, either added or took away from it, either broke it, or he added and gave us something new. They will point to the Sermon on the Mount to do that. But upon further inspection, this couldn't be further from the truth. Yeshua magnified the law, as Tommy said. He drove it inwardly. He drove it inwardly. He refined the law, not redefined. He refined the law. It was man and his theologies and his doctrines that had got it all tangled up. Yeah. The same can be said today with the law of God. And that's why the rabbi came and fully preached it. Do not think I have come to destroy the law and the prophets.